Hello, Samadan here. Have you ever wanted to use TSM but have been put off because it seems too complicated? When I started making gold back in Legion, I wanted one thing: to be able to earn enough gold to pay for my game time. I had seen videos of other people using TSM and recommending it, but it seemed very complicated at first, and I didn't understand what it did. This was way back in TSM version 3. Now we have TSM 4.10, and it's come a long way since then. It's an incredibly powerful tool and had lots of parts to it. What I want to do here is take you through the core components, explain what they do, and help you make more gold than you ever thought possible. Maybe you want to pay for game time, maybe you want the Brutosaur mount, maybe you want the freedom to buy whatever you want in game. Whatever the reason, I'm here to help demystify TSM and show you how to use it to make gold. Now I'm using TSM 4.10 beta here, so there may be a few things changed if you're watching it from the future. Hi future person, did we make it through 2020 okay? So what actually is TSM? TSM is all about two things to help with gold making: information and efficiency. Information because the more we understand the true price of things, the better we can tell if something is a good deal or not. The tooltip in TSM is amazing and gives you a lot of information at a glance. You can see various prices, stock quantity, and what they turn into or come from. When it comes to efficiency, TSM helps you set prices for your items, post them on the auction house, and work out what to craft next. The work is done in the setup. Once you have it set how you want, each action is executed with a click of the mouse or scroll of the wheel, and everything can be posted very quickly. So in part, it's not just an auction house add-on, it's a suite of tools that give you the information and the tools to be able to make better gold making decisions. So how TSM organises all of this is with the use of groups and operations. Think of a group as a way of collecting together several items into a category. That category is based on what you want to do with those items. The operations are special instructions for that group. An item can only be in one group at a time, but you can have multiple operations assigned to that group. Say for example you've got lots of different herbs and a bunch of items you looted from a dungeon. The herbs I want to sell in large amounts, but the items I only want one of each on the auction house at any one time. I would then put the herbs into one group and assign them an operation to sell as many as possible in one go. The looted items go into another group where I create an operation with a limit of only putting one on at a time. So let's look at each of the components of TSM and I'll explain what they do. So here is the main TSM window. This is where you can see all your gold in a nice graph and can see information of profit and loss over a number of days. You can see all the gold on all your characters here in the top right. The ledger shows you a list of all your items, sales and expenses. There's no need to go into this in detail at this stage. The Groups tab is the core one where you create your groups, give them a name and assign items. Now with TSM 4.10 you can search for items in the base group, so there's no need to always have them in your bags, although that is still useful. How you structure this is completely up to you. I personally tend to split my groups by profession, then expansion, then individual groups that have specific operations assigned to them. It's also worth mentioning here that each character can have its own profile, which is a complete set of groups and operations saved in TSM, so there's no need to have one profile for everything, unless you want to, in which case you can do that as well. The Operations tab is the pair to the Groups tab. Operations are split by categories based on what you want to do. So auctioning for when you want to post items, crafting for all your professions, this is where you can use TSM to restock on items you have made and sold. Mailing is used for sending to certain characters, and shopping for when you want to buy items for a certain price. Then there's more like sniper, vendor and warehousing. For the sake of simplicity I'm going to save a lot of these for another video. This video is going to be part of a series, so I'll go into more and more depth as we go on, and cover those features then. The Import-Export tab allows you to bring in other people's group or share your own. This can be incredibly useful once you have a good grasp of what everything does. But to start with, I'd suggest building your own groups in small parts and grow it as you learn. Finally, Settings allows you to manage your profiles and tooltip settings, as well as setting up custom macros and sources. As a first step, what I'd suggest is turning on a lot of these in the tooltip settings. This is what my tooltip looks like as an example. It may be overwhelming at first, but once you get used to looking at these as part of your decision process, you'll understand more and more and become a better gold maker. You can also change the appearance of TSM, which is pretty cool. Down here in macros, I highly recommend setting up one as it forms the backbone of TSM and why you can do so many things quickly. I have my scroll wheel set to control up and down, and it does most of the functions of TSM such as posting and cancelling. Just click here at the bottom and it will set one up for you. The other main part of TSM is the auction house window. This replaces the standard WoW user interface, and you can flip between the two easily. There are 4 tabs up here at the top. The Browse tab will show you all your groups that have a shopping operation applied to them. You can also search by typing in here at the top, or go into Advanced Item Search if you want something specific. There's no category list like you have in the standard auction house. Once you're set up with TSM, you'll find you'll tend to use groups more and more. The auctioning tab is for posting items on the auction house. So I highly recommend setting up a group for everything you want to sell, including one-off items you might have picked up. The reason being because when something expires and you want to relist it, you've done all the setup already and you can then relist it really quickly. You can use this post items from bags feature if you've assigned an auctioning operation to the base group, but personally I prefer not to do this and I use group specific operations. Now Sniper is its own thing entirely. I'll do a separate video covering just sniping in 4.10 in the near future. Now the My Auctions tab is where you can see everything you've got posted and what's sold. You can also manually cancel auctions by selecting them and using the scroll wheel macro. That's the main 2 interface windows. There are other ones like mailing and banking and warehousing. I'm just going to focus on those 2 for now. The next thing I want to talk about is price sources. This is an important part of TSM. The TSM app itself takes market information straight from the Blizzard API and tracks historical prices for every item. When you look at the tooltip of any item, you can see the TSM auction database information here. So, min buyout, now this is the lowest price since the last time the database was scanned. It can vary quite a bit depending on how old the data is, so it's not usually a reliable source, but it's good to be aware of. Market value, this is also called DB market. This is one of the core values as it's a 14-day average of the price on your particular realm weighted to the last 3 days. So this price gives you a better idea of the latest average price, and it's important to look at this one as well as the next one, region market value average. This one takes the market value over every realm in your region and averages them out. That way you can see easily if the prices on your realm are unusually high or low. This average is over all realm sizes, so it's useful to know where your realm is in order of size. The website raider.io has some good population metrics if you're not sure. Region sale average, the number you see here is from users of TSM only, and it is an average of all sales and purchases recorded for your region. It's useful to know this as it reflects a good average of what something actually sold for, not what it was listed for. These 2 can be very different things. Region sale rate is also an important one to look at as it tells you the likelihood of something selling. Again, this value comes only from TSM users and it's averaged over the whole region. Times the number by 100 and you get a percentage chance of it selling each time it is posted. The lowest this value can go is 0.01, which indicates a very low sale rate and could actually be a lot lower than that because it bottoms out at 0.01. It could be like 0.00001, but it's rounded up. Usually anything in the 0.3 to 0.6 range is a popular item worth listing. Okay, that's enough information thrown at you. Let's look through a real-world example and set up a group or 2 for posting and an operation to go with it. So say for example you've got a character that's been out and about adventuring the world and you want to set up TSM to sell those things that you've collected. So in my bags at the moment I've got a whole load of items of various types. Now what I want to do here is make up groups based on what I want to do with each of these. So let's go into TSM itself, and then I'm going to go to groups. And now all of our ungrouped items in a bag are in this big list down here. So I need to start thinking about how am I going to collect these up into groups. So as I said before, we could probably look at things that I want to sell en masse and just post those on in large amounts. So let's take for example, we've got some herbs here, some dream leaves, some dead nettle, some salmon, some other bits and pieces here, cabbage, some shalderai silk, any of these kind of things that I'd want to look at in mass. I'm looking here at the tooltip and I can see, okay, there's some things here that got a region sale rate down there of 0.32, so that would be a good thing to sell. So I'm using the tooltip to help me make decisions here. I'm looking at the min buyout, I'm looking also at the vendor sell price, because that's important sometimes. You don't want to sell for less than the vendor sell price of 24 silver. So what I want to do here is make up a group of something. So I'm going to make a very simple group here. So click on the plus icon to make a new one, and then automatically going to rename this one. For example, let's just call this mass sell. So this is for selling lots and lots of things. So here we can see a few things that I might want to sell. I'm looking at the tooltips. So let's start at the top here. We've got bone scale snapper. Now the things I'm looking at here, I'm looking at the min buyout, which is currently quite high at 93 gold. The region market value average is 85 gold, but the actual region sale average is 2 gold. So that tells me that perhaps that price is a little bit high. And you can see that reflected in the sale rate, which is 0.04, which is like 4%. So I'm going to ignore that for the moment. I'm going to move on down. So looking here, we've got Borean leather. So we're making decisions as to what I want to include into this group. So Borean leather, I'm looking here. We have 2 gold min buyout. The region average is again really high, but the sale average is 295. And then the sale rate is actually 0.25, so 25% chance. So I'm going to select that one. As you can see, it's got a tick here now. So this can go into the group once I've gone through everything. The stems, I'm not going to bother with these at the moment, so I'm going to make this decision process all the way through. I'm looking at sale rate, I'm looking at the min buyout, the market value, the region market value average, and the region sale average. So I'm just going through all of these that I want to keep hold of. 0.02. Dead nettle doesn't have a very good sale rate on that, so I'm not going to include that one. Dreamleaf is quite good though at 0.28. Now here we have something a bit different. This is a pet, so we might want to put this in a different category, because I might want to not necessarily just throw this on at an average price, but I might want to be a bit more specific. So I'm going to save that one for a separate group. And the same here, this is a one-off item that is a BOE item, so that people will probably use this for transmog. You can see there it's got a particularly high price. So I'm going to look at that as a different thing, but look at the sale rate, 0.01. So long as I'm happy to just keep on reposting this, it's going to cost me a little bit to repost though. Looking at the sell price, that's going to be quite high in deposit fees. So that's something to think about. So there's a selection of items that I've got in relatively large quantities that I want to put on the auction house. So I'll then go add 13 items. I made a decision to try and sell these based mainly off of their sale rate and the prices they seem to be going for on the auction house. So now I've got this mass sell group. I now need to give it an operation to tell it what to do when I post them on. So we go here to auctioning operations, and now I can use the default one that comes with TSM, but I'm gonna do something a bit more specific here because I want to keep things simple. So I'm going to override the parent operation and add a new one in. Now if I had some other operations, I could always just select those here, but I'm going to create a new one as we're here and starting, and it's automatically taken me across to the operations tab over here. So we have a new operation here. The first thing to do really is to rename this one. So I'm going to name this something appropriate because this wants to be, so what do I want to do with this? How do I want to sell this thing? So I'm going to say a mass sell region average, which I've already decided that's what I'm going to be using here. So now when I go down, I can look through a few different things here. So auction duration. Now things that turn over quite quickly, I don't want to leave on the auction house too long, and it depends how often I'm going to be playing, but I'm thinking something either 12 or 24 hours will be suitable here. So I'm going to go with 24 hours. Now post cap is defaulted to 5. I've got a lot more than 5 on here. So I might have as much as 200 or 1,000. I don't necessarily want to put so much on at one time. So I'm going to keep this just to about stack size, which is 200 for most of these items, as the maximum I want to put on at any one time. I can always put more on once they've sold. I'm going to leave the rest of these at the moment. Now the main thing you have here is 3 sets of prices. The minimum price, the maximum price, and the normal price. So TSM will use a different price depending on what's happening when it scans the auction house to post these on. If there are no others on the auction house and you're the only person selling it, then TSM will use the normal price. If there are other auctions on, then TSM will check against the minimum price and the maximum price. You're telling TSM what to do then. So the default operations you can see here, they look quite complicated, using crafting, DB market, and all these different price sources. So for the sake of simplicity, I just want to show you how to strip this back and just use either one or two of these things, because there's lots and lots of different ways of doing this. So I would always suggest start simple and then grow it from there. Another thing that is really useful is to make sure that you have your bags available and you can look at the tooltip as you go across. So if I move this across here to the left and I move this back here, so some of the items I put in here, like for example Dreamleaf, you can see here at the top there it's already in the group mass sell, so I know which group this is assigned to. This is the one I'm dealing with here. Then the thing I'm looking at now is the TSM auctioning section down in the middle bottom there. Now it says the minimum price is 2 gold, the normal price is 16 gold, and the maximum price is 40 gold. Then looking at the price of the min buyout at the moment, it's 7 gold, the market value is 5 gold 31, so my normal price is actually quite high, and then my maximum price is really high at 40 gold. But you can see we're in a reasonable range there, and that's what you're thinking about. You're saying, okay, what kind of range of prices am I willing to go in for these items? So in this case, what I'm going to do, in order to simplify things, I'm going to use two values. I'm going to use DB market and DB region market average. So DB market is the market value for your particular realm, and that's averaged out over the last 14 days. And then DB region market average is a long word, but it says it's the same as the region market value average in the tooltip there. So I'm going to use these two values as a basis for everything. So what I'll do is I'm going to go here and I'm going to take these two words here, so DB market and DB region market average. So I'm going to delete everything before then, and then I'm going to delete everything after then. So we just have those two values, and there's a comma in between the two of them. You can put spaces in, which is fine. Now you can see here that TSM has got a red border around there. So if I was to press enter now, this wouldn't be correct, because what I want to do is actually use an average between the two of these. So I want the TSM to look at the average, so AVG for average, DB market, and go to the end, and then close the bracket there, and now you can see that red border has disappeared. So this is a valid price to use, the average between DB market and DB region market average. So if we go back over to our tooltip here, you can see that for the Dreamleaf, the minimum price, which is the one on the left, it says 8 gold. So 8 gold is the average between the market value, which is 5 gold, and the region market value average, which is 10 gold. So what I want to do now is I'm going to use this same for the other two as well, minimum price and maximum price. So if I copy that and paste it into here, that's the same, press enter, and then paste it in here and press enter. So now when we go over here, you can see the price is all the same. Min, normal and max is all 8 gold and 2. But we want a range here. We want to push them slightly higher and slightly lower depending on the maximum and the minimum we're willing to go. So what we can do here is then put a percentage in front of that average. So say for example, let's look at the average between the two of those. We're also looking at the region sale average, which is 6 gold 59. So I want to go a little bit lower than this. Remember, this is only one item within this group. There are several other ones as well. So what I'm going to do is actually lower this down. So I'm willing to go as low as perhaps 60% of the average between the two. And I put a space in there just for clarity. So you can see that's a valid operation. So I'm going to press enter on that. So now when we look over here at the Dreamleaf, you can see that's gone down to 4 gold 82. So that's the lowest I'm willing to go. Now I need to tell TSM, what do you do if the price has gone below that? Do I post them on anyway? Do I ignore all those ones that are below there? Or do I not post them and wait for the price to go up? So in this case, I've got it set to don't post items. That's the default. Now when it comes to looking at my maximum price, I want to push this up higher as a percentage of that. So let's look at something. I mean, you could put like a huge amount and just go for millions, but let's keep it reasonable so we've got a decent chance of things selling. So let's change this percentage to something like 200% of that. Then press space and enter on there. So now when I look at this, I've got a range here under TSM auctioning. The minimum price is 4 gold 82, the normal price is 8 gold, and the maximum price is 16 gold. So looking at those, I'm quite comfortable with those numbers, looking at the prices of the min buyout, market value, and the region market value average. So that's a range that I'm comfortable to sell this in. There's another thing to remember here though, is when it's above maximum, not to post it at normal price. Usually it's better, in my opinion, to post it at the maximum price. That way you're not suddenly pushing down the price of it if someone's posted it at a higher price than you're comfortable with. So that's a very, very basic way of structuring your operation. It's usually helpful to use the same factors for each of your min, normal and maximum, and use a percentage of those, because then you can easily make sure, in order to have a valid operation, you have to make sure that the minimum is the lowest value and the maximum is the highest value. If for some reason they turn out to be different, then the whole operation doesn't work and it's not valid, and TSM will tell you that in the chat. So that's one item. We need to look at how this affects all our other items. So what we can do is go back to our groups here and look at mass sell, and we can see all the items here. If I scroll down, we can see the TSM auctioning value for each of these. So I can look here and say, okay, the min value of the cerulean seed is 2 gold, 4 gold is normal, 8 gold is maximum. We're currently at 7 gold. Then here, this is down in silvers for the unbroken tooth. 20 silver. Now that has gone below. You can see there the min buyout is below the minimum price, so that won't get posted on. And then here we are down to, this is quite a big difference here, Talandra's Rose. You can see, because we're taking an average between the market value and the region market value, and that's a big difference there between 2 gold and 47 gold. So because of our averaging here, this particular thing seems to be particularly cheap on my server. So I could make a decision here. I could say, okay, well, I'm looking at the region sale average of 3 gold 80, and the min buyout and the market value seem to be really low. This could be an opportunity. Maybe if I buy all those ones that are cheap, then I can go and pop them on and reset the price higher. So this is how you think like a gold maker. This is how you try to understand the markets. And I'm also looking at the region sale rate, which is 0.12. I'd then go on and do some further research as to what this item is used for, whether it's being talked about at the moment, and then go on from there. Then looking at this one, this is another one, Stonehide Leather, seems to be particularly cheap. Region average is high. I'd then need to do more research into this one. Because I'm looking at the region sale average there of 2 gold 87, I don't think I'd want to reset the market on those, because that tells me the actual reality of selling these is actually quite a bit lower. Starflower has a good range in it, that seems to be a steady price. The Chalderai silk there, 2 gold, sitting nicely between the 1 gold 83 and the 6 gold, and so on and so forth. So okay, that's the mass sell items. There are a couple of other things we wanted to do something different here. So let's look at the pygmy owl here. So we go back up into the top here and we create a new group. I'm going to call this one something special, like pets. So maybe I want to do something special with pets. So I'm going to go down, take the pygmy owl, click on that, add that item into the group. Then I'm going to make a new operation here. I'm going to override the parent auctioning operation. And now I'm going to add another one in. So this is going to be a new operation. So we're going to click create new operation. I'm going to rename that one sell pets. Now, because I want to treat pets differently, pets have quite a low listing fee. So I might want to keep these on at 48 hours because they have a low sale rate as well. So I'm going to change the duration here to 48 hours. And the post cap, I only really want to sell one pet of any one type. So I'm going to change that post cap to 1. So if I happen to have 2 of these in my bags, I'll only ever be posting 1 at a time. Now when I go down here to the min, maximum, normal price, again I need to think about what am I going to use here. So up here we can see the pygmy owl. It's currently telling me the min buyout is 1,200. The region average is actually 597, but the sale average is quite low there at 59. So that gives me quite a large range for my min, normal and max prices using this default string here. If I wanted to keep this really simple, I could use something like just DB region market average. So I'm just going to look at the average for the whole region. I'm not going to look at my own particular realm. I'm just going to look at the region for that. And if I'm a certain percent below the average, then I'm not going to want to sell mine. So let's take something like, again, 60% as an example. I'm going to use the same thing for my other two values. So down here, I'm going to copy and paste that in, except I'm going to change this percentage to 200%. And then my normal price, I'm going to go here and I'm going to do it 100%, but effectively that's the same as just taking the whole percentage out because it is using the market average. Then when above maximum price, I'm going to post at maximum price. When below minimum price, say for example in this situation, I would want to just post them on at minimum anyway, because you never know, I want to keep this on and someone might buy two of them out or something like that. So now when I go and look at the tooltip, I can see my min price is down there at 358 gold. I'm not sure about whether this will sell anyway. Looking at that region sale average down at 59 gold, I might want to change my percentages a little bit there. The normal price is 597, but the maximum price is actually below the min buyout at the moment, 1194. So I might want to play with these percentages a little bit to give myself a little bit more breathing room. So I'm going to come back into here. I'm going to change this percentage down to 40% and the maximum price to 300%. So I'm giving myself a little bit of an extra range here. So now when I look at this, we've got my minimum price is 238, still far off of that 59 gold. With a sale rate of 0.01, I'm not particularly hopeful of this, but as it's a pet, it's quite cheap to list on. And then the normal price at 597, the maximum price at 1792 fits me within the range of the market value at the moment. Whether it sells for that, I'm not sure. It seems to be artificially high for my realm. So maybe I'll make the decision here to actually go back to the 200% and leave it at that. So now I have two groups, mass sell and pets, and I want to do different things with each of these. So in order to just keep things simple, I'll just show you those two for now. What I'll do then is go to the auction house and show you how to post those on. So we close all this down. So we're going to go into the auction house and open this up, auctioning tab here. Now what we want to do is turn off the base group, otherwise that will use the default operation on all the things that we don't have something assigned to. But we just want to sell the mass sell and the pets groups. So we're going to turn that one off and then run a post scan. So you can see here, lots of these have got a undercutting competition, which means they're going to match the current price. The Pygmy Owl is just above our max price here, so we're posting at the maximum price anyway. So we're in effect equalizing out the price on our realm with those of the region average. The raw crab meat is posting at the normal price because there's no others on, and then the dream leaf is undercutting the competition. All of these ones down here are below minimum price, so we're not posting those on, so they're staying there as orange. Now we can make a decision later on as to what we want to do with these, whether we want to reset the prices higher, whether we want to change our brackets for these, or decide not to sell them at all, or wait for the market prices to rise and then try and sell them there. There's a number of options there, but what we're going to do here is going to post on the ones that are currently undercutting the competition. So using the scroll wheel, I'm going to move my mouse pointer off of this window. I'm going to move it into a blank area over here. Hold Control down, which is what my macro is set up for, and then just scroll the wheel up and down, and it's going to post all of those items at once. Now when we look over at my auctions, you can see they're all on here for the various time zones. This one's at the 48 hours, these ones at the 24 hours, and the prices they're on for. So then we'll leave those up there, come back a bit later, see if anything's sold. So once these have expired, then I'll collect them from the mail and then repost them back on using the same post scan. So when I go and open up my mail, I've got the TSM interface here, and it shows me all the auctions that have expired. I can literally just click on all expired. If I want to open everything except for the money, I can actually hold down Control and it will now say open all mail without money. And I click on that and all my expires and everything else that I might have bought or cancelled will get collected, but I can leave all my sales and have a look at those in one section. And then I'm ready to repost those on and we can repeat the process again. Then as we find more things to sell, we can add them to the groups, add more operations and grow it from there. I'll be covering much more in future episodes, such as how to get TSM to work with professions and crafting operations, as well as Sniper and everything else. So please do subscribe and turn on notifications. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you do have any questions, please let me know here in the comments, or catch me live on Twitch, where I'm covering everything in TSM and Shadowlands beta at the moment. Until next time, happy gold making, and I'll see you very soon.